You're listening to the House of Cards on the Big Patriot Radio Network.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right, and good evening. Happy Thursday evening, everyone. Glad to have you here. I'm Mike Covert, host of Beaufort County's House of Cards. And welcome once again. You are on Beaufort County's House of Cards on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You're also live on Big Patriot Radio. That's right, bigpatriotradio.com. You can listen, instead of listening to the show a week late, you can now listen live. So just another way of getting this out to you. So put it on Alexa. You can put it on Roku TV, put it on your computer. That's bigpatriotradio.com. Listen live or listen now. And check out everything that we are doing here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. I want to say this isn't our Christmas show, but Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all of those that are listening. Don't forget, folks, that we do have over on the radio station on bigpatriotradio.com all week long. We have podcasts Monday nights, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, an encore show of New America Movement. That is with David and Jordan Cox out of Greenville. Fantastic show, getting huge numbers. Check that out. Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and an encore at 8 o'clock is Corey Allen and the Overton Report. Even bigger numbers, huge amount of listeners. And I think I've got that down here somewhere in the notes for tonight. You want to check that out, 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights. Thursday nights, we're live right here with the House of Cards. Sunday nights, it is 7 o'clock, Andrew Southwick and Culture Crossroads. Again, you don't want to miss that. A great take on conservative and Christian values by Andrew himself, who's now going television. So big time. And then at 8 o'clock to end the week on Sunday nights is Frank Friedenauer and the Freedom Hours. So don't miss any of that. And that's all week long right here on Big Patriot Radio. So I want to go over, a lot of good stuff for tonight. Number one most requested song on Big Patriot Radio last week was Blues Traveler with Mountains Win Again. Blues Traveler, man, it's good to see blues get on top of the charts. They don't get up there very much, and that's a big part of the radio station is blues. John Popper, those of you that follow Blues Traveler, John Popper is, he's a showman. He doesn't look like he's getting around all that well, but he is a showman. As a matter of fact, I have right here in the studio one of his harmonicas that I was fortunate enough to catch from a concert we went to nearby in Palmetto Bluff a few years ago. So that's cool. I've got that in a case mounted with a I guess you call them a violin string, whatever, the cord, the thingy. We were in, my wife and I were in Nashville, went to the Grand Ole Opry 1 year for my, it was a birthday present. And we had front row center seats and got to see the late Charlie Daniels and Cott. He throws out his violin, whatever they are, the strings. He makes his own, and I happened to catch one. And that's, for me to do that twice that's just unheard of. But anyway, he makes his own, which is cool. So anyway, got those in a case over here in the studio. All right, the number one city with the most listeners last week. Let's see here. That was Lexington, South Carolina. And tied for second, Beaufort, South Carolina, and Mountain Home, Arkansas. I think it's the first time I've seen anyone here from Mountain Home, Arkansas. Glad to have you on the show with us. Please consider this. This is a great time of year to do it. Join us on Patreon. Once the numbers get big enough on Patreon, we'll have more taped and live shows that'll be on Patreon only. But you got to be a member. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever. Any of that goes to keeping independent journalism alive and well. That $5 or $10 a month, you keep the independent news research, independent research radio. Hey, mainstream media they do not want people like me or Corey Allen, David and Jordan Cox with New America, or any of the rest of us that are independent media type or independent news. They don't want us in this business. And there's all kinds of things that they do behind the scenes to make it tough for the independent guy or gal. We provide truth, we provide reality, and we don't sugarcoat it. None of us, we don't sugarcoat it. We tell you like it is and let you decide. Give you the news and let you decide what you want to do with it, if anything. The ticker's running on the screen there below, and we greatly appreciate those folks that are already on our Patreon list. We appreciate you greatly. And wow, what a gift this Christmas, the gift of real independent news. And you can get that right here only on Big Patriot Radio.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
And don't forget, you can go onto your chat room on whatever device you happen to be on, and type in a message, send it to us. If we need to read it, if it's something important, we'll let it out there. RAC mom and dad are listening, so hey to them. And we want to hear from you folks that are listening, whether it's a suggestion, a complaint, just a comment, doesn't matter. We want to hear from you. All right. First tonight, we want to say congratulations. That is in order to Phil Cromer. Phil Cromer, he won the mayoral election in the city of Beaufort this Tuesday. So congratulations to Phil. Mayor-elect Cromer was on the show here. I guess it's only been about a week or two now. Pretty fresh. Sadly, though, now he's going to do a great job for the city of Beaufort, the residents, the businesses. He's going to do a great job. But sadly, again, there was only 6 to 7% of the voters actually came out. We've got to do a better job. Got to do a better job at that. Maybe talk to your neighbors a little more, get involved, but people need to vote. Whether you want to be involved in the process or just be in the process, you need to get out there and vote. All right. Let's we have been following judicial reform, that topic here in South Carolina for many months now. Matter of fact, maybe the entire time we've been around. The topic discussions aren't getting any softer. It has been heated as of late, I would say. If you're not aware, South Carolina is only one of 2 states that the judiciary, is picked by the elected legislature. Virginia is the other state, and of course South Carolina. So you have a little history. How we got here. This will blow you away. Back in Reconstruction, that's 1865, 6 forward. Back during Reconstruction, and we are still under these laws, as a matter of fact. They were drawn up in the 1800s, late 1800s, where the reason that this reform came about then was basically the powerful, mainly white Democrats in South Carolina were very concerned and afraid, to be quite honest about it, white Democrats afraid and concerned that the black population would assume political control with the help of Republicans. Now, remember Robert Smalls of Beaufort, black freedman who pretty much founded the Republican Party, who went on to become a U.S. representative. He was a mainstay in Washington. We talked about him here in some history moments. So they rewrote the Constitution in South Carolina, because this was happening, to mitigate any risk possible that a black governor would have any real power if elected. That has never been changed. That has never been changed. Since the 1800s, we are still living and breathing under the same Reconstruction law, because white Democrats were afraid that a black person could become governor and have too much control. Unbelievable. Some say that the South Carolina governor's office is impotent, and that is the word from Will Folks, editor of Fitz News, which, while that term is a bit odd, I completely agree with it. The governor is impotent at the bequest of everyone else. Across the nation, when you compare gubernatorial offices, South Carolina is not considered one with any power, any whatsoever. Heraldry, pomp, and circumstance. Oh yeah, absolutely, you get it. And hey, McMaster fits that bill very well. I often tell the story of one of the mayors here in the Low Country who told me that her daddy was a childhood friend, playmate of Governor McMaster. And I remember this quote, and I had written it down for tonight. Quote, "Daddy said Dargan," that's the governor, "always just wanted to be the governor of South Carolina," end quote. No real purpose, just hold the job. And you can imagine it, you say, playing King of the Hill and cops and robbers and army. And this young man, I want to be governor, Well, he got his wish. Anyway, fast forward to where we are currently, and a large portion of the General Assembly here in South Carolina and in most states are lawyer legislators. And too many in my mind, way too many in my mind, to be honest with you. And they don't like, not all, but many of them do not like to be called lawyer legislators. However, because that is synonymous with several things, but it is absolutely true. Their day job is a lawyer. Their part-time gig is a legislator. And to me, I don't see that as derogative at all. A lawyer legislator. Anyway, the case for judicial reform has been talked about. We've talked about it here. We've had people on. Lee Grenade's been on here. She's a huge advocate with judicial reform. Nancy York, another one, huge behind the scenes with judicial reform. So we've talked about it, yet the lawyer legislators have been somewhat resistant over the years. It's kind of like asking a legislator to agree to vote on term limits. You're voting yourself out of a job. In effect, only those legislators, whether it's at a state level or national level, federal level, those that have the chutzpah, those that really are doing it for the right reason, wouldn't have a problem saying yes to term limits. But anyway, I digress. The reason here, lawyer legislators are somewhat resistant, and again, not all, some, many. And I get it. I understand why they're hesitant, because it would take away some power. Power is something that's hard to give up. It is hard to give up, especially if you're not in it for the right reason. If you're in it for power, you definitely don't want to give it up. If power is not part of the equation, then it's not so tough to give it up. Anyway, what's the big deal? Well, let's think about that for a minute. Legislators are picking judges across the state of South Carolina. Now, that is fine as long as none of those legislators ever have a case in front of said judge that they gave a lifetime job to. Now, does that mean I'm calling them all corrupt? Absolutely not. Never said that, and I don't believe that. But it's the perception of the possibility of the impropriety. Could it happen? Absolutely. Has it happened? There are many cases out there indicating positive allegations of such. We've talked about a few here that certainly fit the bill of something being nefarious, if I guess that's one way to look at it, and against a code of ethics that should be common. Anyway, many of those allegations have been reported out by a first district solicitor, Pasco, well-known solicitor in South Carolina. He's a solicitor with an obviously extra, as I call, extra large set of balls, as he doesn't appear to back down from anyone or anything. It seems like if you want a solicitor to be the tough guy, Pasco is the one, and I appreciate that. And that's something that cannot be said of all solicitors in this state. And I mean that quite poignantly. Solicitor Pasco put example after example in front of members in November of the ad hoc committee that House Speaker Merle Smith, a Republican out of Sumter, again, House Speaker Merle Smith, who is also a lawyer legislator, that he put together. Speaker Smith requested this ad hoc committee have the results ready by February 2024. Now, during this time, November, just a few weeks ago, when Pasco was allegedly giving them example after example, this apparently or allegedly really pissed off many members of the judiciary and the House. And that's the House of Representatives in South Carolina. Many names were thrown around. Some feelings, I would have to imagine, probably got hurt. Tempers flared. And it's being reported now. It was reported out of the Associated Press and Fitz News that Speaker Merle Smith is, as I can quote them, upset with House Judiciary Chair Weston Newton, a Republican from Beaufort, and House Speaker Pro Tem Tommy Pope, Republican from Rock Hill, because the Speaker's name had gotten too close to the issue, as I am learning, so to speak. Again, the Speaker is a lawyer legislator. He formed or set in motion this ad hoc committee. Now he's upset because his name is getting thrown around. He's a little too close. Well, that's what happens when you're a lawyer legislator. I don't think anyone took it out on you personally, Speaker Smith, but you are a lawyer, you're a legislator, and that's what happens. That's what happens. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, again, First District Solicitor Pasco, and I believe it's Fourth District Solicitor Kevin Brackett. They all gave their renderings of this to the panel back in November. Wilson put together his suggestion for retrofitting the entire ordeal of electing judges in a nutshell that would have said, let's let the executive branch have seats on the JMSC. Now, the JMSC is the commission that so-called screens the judicial candidates. I say so-called because, again, you've got lawyer legislators. The opportunity for things to happen is too real. It's too real. Why have that opportunity? anyway, again, Wilson said, hey, well, let's let, and the JMSC is made up of lawyer legislators, or I'm sorry, is made up of legislators. I would assume many, if not most, are lawyer legislators, because the Judiciary Committee is made up of lawyers. They're in the judiciary. Now, currently, the Executive Committee has zero influence or vote. This suggestion that Attorney General Wilson has come up with, it's a step in the right direction. Albeit it would not require a complete rewrite of the state constitution. That would be changing the late 1800s, Reconstruction era white Democrat putting in verbiage that would not allow a black governor to have any power. That was the reason. Remember that. Follow that with me now. So he doesn't want to have to go through that. This would change that. It doesn't change what the Constitution says, but it allows for the executive branch to have seats on it. So one item that both Pasco and Solicitor Pasco and Solicitor Brackett said that was identical, and I support this 110%. Actually, this was also put in a Fitz News article, but it's quotes from Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, tongue-tied, from the Federalist Papers. This is an awesome read, ladies and gentlemen. I highly encourage everyone, find them on Google or Amazon or whatever, download them, order them, read the Federalist Papers. It'll send your mind back in time to colonial America. At the same time, living in the current day and how it can relate. It really does relate to those people that are, anti-Constitution. It's an old document. It's irrelevant. Read the Federalist Papers, and you'll see exactly how stuff in that time period is still very relevant in today. So Hamilton is quoted as saying, quote, "There is no liberty if the power of judging be not separated from the legislative and executive powers." Boom. Boom. James Madison followed up later with, quote, "If judges are not independent of the legislature in this particular, their independence in every other would be merely nominal." Again, boom. That right there is the answer to anyone having some kind of negative connotation about the Constitution, whether it's the U.S. Constitution, our very own South Carolina Constitution, or for those folks that are listening right now in Georgia and Virginia and North Carolina and in Tennessee and anywhere else. It affects your state's constitution. And we're going to continue to follow this as this story moves on and as we get into 2024 with the next session of the General Assembly coming up in January. And we will keep you apprised as to where we are with this here in South Carolina.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. All right, in Beaufort County news, Beaufort County Council this week approved a first reading of a referendum question that will probably be added to the 2024 general election. That's right, I gave you a teaser about it during the day today. This question, assuming that it goes through the next two readings and gets the county council's blessing, would be on the ballot this coming November, along with it's a major election and this more than likely, I can't say is going to, because from what I understand, they still have 2 readings left. Anyway, the question will be whether you, as the voter, approve or not an added 1% directed to your sales tax for a period of 15 years in Beaufort County. Now, what does that mean? That means sales tax right now is 7% in Beaufort County. That would take it to 8%. Divide 7 into 8, and that's the increase. It's not 1% increase. It's a shitload more when you're talking about sales taxes. That would be the increase. Somebody do the math for me. Hey, Mike, do the math. That is the increase in sales tax. Now, let's dig into this a little bit. What's the reason? All right. Well, the reason to collect monies in the hopeful amount of $1.625 billion. That's billion dollars for transportation projects across the county. So let's read the list together. I'll bring it up here on the board. Let me share my screen with you, and let's share. All right, here we go. So let me make sure that everybody can see that. Yes, you can. All right. So let's take a look at this list. Here are the items. Again, you see recommended the sales tax be applied at 1%, 1 penny on the dollar. Again, that is shuck and jive talk, because that lowers the temperature. It's not based on that. If you want to know what the added increase is, divide the new tax by the current tax, and that's the increase. Okay, $1.625 billion over 15 years. All right, they want to plan, develop, implement appropriate solutions. Blah 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 blah. What are the projects? All right, the Triangle, $100 million. Capacity and safety improvements on the Beaufort County section of the Triangle made by Highway 170, 278, and Argent Boulevard. That is Dysfunction Junction right there. This project will be developed jointly with Jasper County, traffic counts, yada, yada, yada. Okay. $100 million. Rebo Road improvements. Implementation of the reimagined Rebo Road project, $75 million. I don't know anyone that was in favor of that. Well, looks like they're trying to push it right on through. Let's go further. $20 million for Highway 46, aka May River Road. Capacity and safety improvements along South Carolina 46 from SC 170 to Jasper County. All right, that would be going, I guess that would be west from the circle. Additional safety improvements along May River Road from 170 going east towards town to Buckwalter Parkway. Next up, $40 million for Ladies Island corridor improvements from the Woods Memorial Bridge to Chowan Creek. These funds would supplement the monies approved in the 2018 referendum. Why do you need supplementation? $60 million, Bluffton municipal projects. That's implementation of any or all Bluffton projects listed as priorities by the Bluffton Town Council. I have a problem with that. Huge problem, but it's on the list. Hilton Head Island municipal projects, $60 million. Intersection improvements of Seapine Circle and adjacent corridors, $120 million together for those two municipalities, paid for by the citizens of the county. North of the Broad transportation system improvements, $60 million. Intersection improvements, pathways, flood prevention on Warsaw Island Road, et cetera, et cetera. $60 million. Highway 278 project enhancements. That is $60 million of enhancements to additionally fund the 278 corridor improvement project. A lot of question marks there. $175 million for future projects. All they addressed by that is the county and its neighbors will continue to grow, and work must be continued to plan for the transportation improvements. Okay, $175 million to plan on something they're not exactly sure of. Project programs, mass transit, $100 million. That would fund multimodal transportation, planning and implementation to include marine transport and commercial airport improvements for a more robust and equitable public transportation system. I have some questions with $100 million for mass transit. Not that I don't agree with mass transit, but this right here is extremely vague. $250 million for safety and traffic flow. Safety improvements along roadways and intersections to include pedestrian accommodations. $250 million with no explanation as to what, when, and where. $90 million for emergency evacuation and resiliency. That's improvements to transportation infrastructure to address flooding, rising sea levels, stormwater, and drainage. I have some questions there. $180 million pavement resurfacing and preservation. That's to resurface and preserve all roadways, state, county, municipal owned throughout the county. That's ridiculous because you already pay a tax in fuel and in your registration tags that funds some of this. Furthermore, I don't believe the county needs to be paying to pave the municipality-owned roads. The municipality needs to take care of that. Anyway, also includes paving county and municipality-owned dirt roads throughout the county. Again, I do not believe that's a wise use of public tax dollars. Anyway, pathways, $180 million. Design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction of bike and pedestrian accommodations throughout the county in accordance with the Beaufort County Connects Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan. They say here, recommend that priority be given to the pathways already approved by the voters in the 2018 referendum. The voters approved it. You didn't do it, but you want $180 million more to design it and acquire the right-of-way. Again, I don't know about that. Transportation technology and access roads, $90 million. Planning, design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction of access roads for better interconnectivity. Implementation of transportation technologies to support enhancements. $85 million for long-term demand reduction or green belts. What does that mean? Well, the term greenbelt is used in enabling legislation as an eligible category of expenditure. What that means is acquisition of property through the $85 million bank to reduce new lots and thereby establish a balance between environmental protection and development growth. I believe that is a way of increasing. Let me go back here. Hold on one second here. There we go. I didn't know Adobe would do that. Anyway, you have rural and critical lands, then you have the green space, and now we're going to green belt. I just see some stuff on the wall. Julianne writes in, no to the Rebo Road project. Paula, hey, Paula, after talking to 2 council members today, we voted to take it to 3 votes next year in 2024. Let's see. Paula Brown, this is County Councilwoman Paula Brown. I want to be clear, no on any new taxes. There's a question between 2 people. So anyway, now, I want to be very clear, and I want to be adamant about my policy on added or increasing taxes. And I know there are 3 county council people actually watching this right now. So I hope you hear this and possibly can use it as you see fit. Everyone else that's listening, I want you to understand what I'm about to say. First off, let me say all of those things, that list, they're important items. Okay. They're all important in their own way to an extent. Now, again, I've been very adamant about my policies on added or increasing taxes. I've publicly stated over the years that I would never vote in favor of any added taxation without the removal of equal or greater in value than what is proposed. So, and I've even signed. I took the tax pledge up in D.C. and signed off on that. Most local municipality and county officials don't even know what that is. A few state do. The federal officials know. A lot don't sign it. Anyway, back to the point here. If you take $1.625 billion and divide it over the 15 years that they'll collect it, that's how long this will be in effect, 15 years. That is about $108,300,000, give or take, every year. Now, never mind inflation, just round and equal numbers. Again, follow my philosophy. No new taxes unless one or more is removed that is equal to or greater than value of what's proposed. $1.625 billion divided by 15 years, that's $108 million a year. There's no way for the county to remove $108 million every year from the budget. That's just, that's impossible. So that tells me that county council needs to look at all of these items and pick out those that are serious / emergent within the next 5 years, detrimental. Eliminate that amount from the budget. This is the catalyst. Let's say over the next 5 years they have, I don't know, I don't have it up anymore, but let's say it's $200 million. Divide that out and take that, reduce the budget by that amount. Then if you want to add a tax, as long as you reduce more than you're increasing, I understand, and I'm okay. The thing about sales taxes, while it is consumption based, in other words, you don't pay tax unless you consume it. On the surface, I agree with that. However, sales tax is known as a highly regressive tax. What does that mean? I hear that all the time. What do you mean by that? That means an increased sales tax is harder for the people who are the poorest among us to pay. Well, some would say, well, you know, the those who can afford spending $5,000, paying tax on it, can afford that. Well, quite possibly that, whatever that is, someone who cannot afford that $5,000 won't be paying it. But if they have to spend $200 at the grocery store for 4 bags, I say that in jest, it's going to hurt them the worst, not someone who can afford that and life keeps moving. That's the situation with regressive taxation. So again, if we're Beaufort County, if you're going to allow the voters to vote on this, which I would say is going to be a huge hell no, I want the voters to understand that expect from your county council members, tell them to sign off on the Tax Act pledge that they will not agree to any new or added tax unless one or more of equal to or greater value than what is being proposed is eliminated. That's a fair shake. And if you have a council person, town council, county council, you have a state representative, you have a congressman or a senator that's willing to do that, then you have someone who is looking out for you, not looking out for the government. So I'm going to look for county council members such as Paula Brown, Tom Reitz, David Bartholomew, Logan Cunningham, Tab Tabernick. I'm looking for you all to rally around this suggestion and make that happen. Now, remember, folks, that county council cannot advocate for or against a referendum once it is on the ballot. They cannot do that. That is against the law. State law prohibits that. Any referendum, they have to take a medium, a centrist position. So as we go forward, once they have their 3 readings, if it passes and gets put on the ballot, you will start to see county council members not say things about it. And it's not that they're ignoring you. It's because they can't. Now, up till then, absolutely they can. I also want to say I appreciate the sales tax committee, that commission that was put together, that put these things together. I've sat on that, so I know the work that goes into it. I appreciate all of you that did that. However, I would have, $1.625 billion. That's the come on. Anyway, also county council released the 2%. Oh, and I've got some big news coming up. You call your friends and tell them to turn this on if they're not already listening. Also, be sure to comment away. We want to hear from you. County council released the 2% A-tax funds they approved to be spent. That's done by a private committee that county council sets. They weed through the minutia, report back, and county council says aye or nay. Anyway, in reading the list, and this is money that the A-tax is spelled out in the Code of Laws. All right, it's not that the money, it's not the tax and not the money that people should get really interested about. That's not the point. The point is who, where, when, and why. Who gets it? Where do they come from? What are they doing? And why do they need it? Anyway, one of the groups requesting money, which this outlet is adding to the tabulation of monies coming in and out, is the Bluffton Gullah Cultural Heritage Center. This is the so-called center or museum or whatever they want to call it that Bluffton Town Councilwoman Bridget Frazier is building and has been requesting public funds for her museum and restaurant. Now, Councilwoman Frazier is denying that completely. She did not have the gall or the guts to come on the show or talk to me before election day, but post-election day, she went on a tirade. She did request public funds. She has received public funds, and she still is requesting public funds. Now, again, she's denied this entirely, but we've shown the documents. We showed them right here that prove otherwise. Anyway, her group, and let me say this, the Bluffton Gullah Cultural Heritage Center, I think is a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. I support that 100%. The means and the methods here is what I have a hard time about. Anyway, her group asked for $250 million. $250,000. I'm sorry, $250,000. I mean, that alone, with everything else she's asked for from the public, is over. I mean, it's right close to $750,000. $750,000. She or her 501s, whatever, has asked for. Well, they awarded her $25,000. Interesting. Frazier is smart enough to not put her name on these things, but on this application, the applicant's name was Caprice Wilborn. she is on Fraser's campaign. She's on her committees and a huge supporter of Fraser. And I don't knock her for that at all. This is the same lady, ironically, who along with Campbell Chapel pastor, Pastor Black, met with me a few years ago, and they both asked if I would be able to sit down. This is when I was on county council. Could I and would I sit down with Congressman Jim Clyburn and try to get some designations and monies and et cetera for the historic church, which I did. Let Bridget know, and Ms. Wilbur, which I did, and they know, but they probably forgot anyway. And if you ask Fraser, as she said online, I've never done anything for Bluffton, or no one has done anything for Bluffton except her, and certainly not me. Anyway, we're continuing to watch Fraser, her accomplices, the amount of money, public money she's bringing in, private money, have at it. If you can raise the money to do everything privately, awesome. Public tax dollars are not private money. We're also watching her financial backers on her projects. And while we have chosen not to bring them out publicly yet, that is just a yet. I don't plan to, but if things proceed and there's more public monies going to private building and business, then we may have to do that. Anyway, my final piece of news regarding county council. This outlet has learned that at least one and possibly two current and or former county council members have been part of an ongoing investigation by the Attorney General's office. Sources have told us that a statewide grand jury indictment is possible within days. That's a quote. The sources have told us, quote, that a statewide grand jury indictment of one or possibly two current and or former county council members is possible within days. We've been rocking this and this right here. We've been doing it for a year, and now we've got news that is that's pretty incredible, and we are definitely going to follow that. Again, in case you weren't paying attention, this outlet has learned that one and possibly two current and or former county council members have been part of an ongoing investigation by the Attorney General's office. The same sources have told us that a statewide grand jury indictment is possible within days.
Your Rock Authority. Big Patriot Radio.
I wouldn't tell anybody about this.
And as soon as we find out or get more information, we've already started hitting some folks up, trying to see what we can find. All right. Speaking of Bluffton, candidates have filed for the special election to fill the new mayor, or that doesn't make sense, to fill the seat of town councilman Larry Toomer, who is mayor-elect. Candidate Bob Berger, who ran in the election on November 7th, has registered again to run, as has Emily Vaux Burden and relative newcomer to Bluffton, Emily Mayer, Mayer. Now, this outlet has interviewed Bob Berger during the last election, and hopefully we'll get to interview him again. But it is Burden and Mayer who are new to the scene, and we'll want to hear from them probably in January sometime. Well, yes, obviously in January, prior to the February 2024 election. We can tell you that Emily Vaux Burden is a local business owner, owns Gigi's downtown Bluffton. and a member of a traditionally very active and very well thought of family in the greater Bluffton area, the Vox family. Her brother, a friend of mine, is also he's a lawyer here, former county councilman Tabor Vox, and her father is longtime area lawyer and businessman Roberts Vox. Emily Vox Burden is probably one of the most level-headed, even-keeled business owners I have known while in Bluffton. Mayor, we know, is a relative newcomer to Bluffton. What we do know is that she is, and this is our own analogy from analyzing social media, she is super liberal and has people in her ear guiding her progressive positions. She's a member of the Democrat Club of Beaufort. She's spoken out in favor of abortions being made completely legal and has spoken out publicly about negatively about Representative Bill Herb Kurzman being in favor of, quote, imprisoning women who get an abortion, end quote. Totally false. Completely false. Now, if this type of rhetoric continues, she will continue to show very far left policies and far left positions. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, as I would anyone. And I hope that she comes on this show in January, something her mentor, Bridget Fraser, ignored to do. Hopefully, this young lady uses her own mind and doesn't rely on the input from anyone else who might have nefarious reasons to put information into her head.
Wickedness and filth this world has to offer.
Rock music that shatters your bones. Big Patriot Radio.
That's some serious rock.
And you're responsible.
Coming up on 5 minutes before the top of the hour. The other day I had something interesting happen. I was giving a deposition, or about to give a deposition in a case. And just before I had to give mine, waiting for the person in front of me to leave, the fellow that was doing that came out in the hallway. We chatted for a second. He was giving, to me, he was giving Beaufort County's House of Cards a huge thank you. I was humbled by this, and a large attaboy. I'm not going to release his name. That has nothing to do with this and or the case. Anyway, he told me that in his opinion, that the story we shared on multiple shows about the corruption going on inside the Beaufort County government center and involving things like Eric Greenway, Blanket Gate, sexual harassment, et cetera, said that our story was so compelling, and this was his opinion, that if it had not have been done, he didn't think the outcome would be where it is today. Now, again, without using his identity, that I wouldn't do that. This fellow has direct knowledge. I mean, absolute on point, direct knowledge of the inner workings. It felt kind of good getting a positive news. Every once in a while, you want to hear that. So it was great. So anyway, thank you all for watching, listening, and participating in the House of Cards. Just wanted to pass that on to you. Staying around here locally, a request from us. I'd like to hear from the folks in the areas such as Hampton County, Colleton County, Jasper County, Northern Beaufort County, even some of Southern Beaufort County around the New Riverside area, Palmetto Bluff, things like that. If you know someone who lives in those areas, forward this show to them. Or forward the request, have them watch it and reach out to us. I want to know, let me put the email address up here so you can have them send us an email. I want to know how many of you all that live in Senate District 45, how many of you know who your state senator is? If you do know, how pleased are you with their performance? Has your life in District 45 gotten better over the last 4 to 10 years, or has it gotten worse? Or does that not really matter? Is education better or is it worse? Do you find that your vote matters or doesn't matter? Now, this area, Senate District 45, that's State Senate District 45, along with Congressional District 6, has been commonly referred to as the corridor of shame for some time now. High poverty levels, low income, poor education, high tax rates, lack of local employment, almost zero redevelopment. How does that make you feel? And that's not the entire district. That's just a large portion of it. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? Please get in touch with us on the email that you see on your screen. I would love to hear your thoughts. Just tell us your feelings about who's representing you in Senate District 45.
Introducing to you. You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube. It's going down now. Locked and loaded with the truth.
Big news out of Lexington County. The other night, the SC GOP State Executive Committee met, and I'm not exactly sure if this was their quarterly meeting or what the meeting was, but they met. And the point of this is, out of that meeting, according to multiple state ECs, and an EC is an executive committeeman or committeewoman, and attendees, and we've talked about this here, former Lexington GOP Chair Pamela Godwin was, quote unquote, formally removed from her position for violating Rule 16. Rule 16 is regarding an elected GOP officer taking frivolous legal actions against other officials of their own party in their official capacities. That's Rule 16. The club, or the party rather, in Lexington booted her out months ago. However, this had to come from the state, as I understand it, the state party. The ECs, the state ECs from every county make up the rulemaking body of the state GOP. They met and have formally removed her. Now, in the last year or more, Godwin has excelled at violating this Rule 16 that I now learn about. And she has been quite loud, if you will, about bragging about her ability to do it and to not be touched about it. Merging bank accounts, siphoning off Facebook posts, and merging things that you don't commingle. And we see that a lot in government. We see that a lot in Beaufort. Anyway, she felt like she was untouchable, basically. Well, that shoe just doesn't fit. That dog doesn't hunt. Her lackeys are leadership of the MySCGOP group, myscgop.com. That group, those are her lackeys. That's where she gets her marching orders. Our friend on this channel, Corey Allen, recently put it, quote, "Let's see how they spin this, and they most certainly will," end quote. And I agree with him. I haven't seen it. I haven't been on much today, but I haven't seen it yet. But I do suspect they will spin this, or they will completely give her the stiff arm, and they'll leave her, pounding sand. I suspect they will spin it, but let's see. Let's see. This is going to hurt the souls of the MySCGOP group in their vein of trying to take over the GOP. So stay tuned to the House of Cards and the Overton Report as that story changes. We are just about done for this week. Last story I want to bring up. We really don't talk sports here on the House of Cards. But there's something I've been thinking about. We're in the postseason, I guess you can call it, of college football, my favorite football to watch. And what I've been thinking about is this NCAA portal. Okay. What is the portal? Some may ask. Well, let me see, find my notes. And what criticism are there of the portals? Is kind of what I'm talking about. And do those criticisms lead to the possibility of corruption? That kind of ties it back in the show. So some critics argue that the portal creates ethical issues such as a lack of loyalty to the schools from which they transfer, a lack of loyalty to their teammates, many of whom cannot take advantage of the transfer portal because of their anonymity as a student athlete, the commercialization of college athletics, which once was a fully, to the point, this is amateur sports. It once was. And outsiders buying the allegiance of student athletes through the process of being able to financially benefit from their NIL. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness after they transfer. Yes, college athletes can receive compensation of the NIL, name, image, and likeness, to represent brands and branding. Additionally, the transfer portal is a risky move for some college football players. According to information received from the NCAA, entering the portal and trying your luck somewhere else. You don't like it at State U? Well, I'm going to go in the portal and I'm going to get transferred somewhere else. Somebody else will pick me up. By no means is that a sure thing. In fact, almost half of the players, didn't realize that, half of the players who transfer into the portal don't find a new school to attend. Many claim that the odds are against the players in the NCAA portal. Now, the portal is supposed to be a compliance tool that helps manage the transfer process from start to finish. What it is an online database that allows student athletes to declare their desire to transfer and is supposed to help coaches and players connect more easily. Why would one want to transfer? Well, if you're not getting the playing time at your school and you feel like you deserve it, you can get into the portal and go somewhere else, hopefully. If you're at a four-year school, but you've got more years of eligibility and they don't have graduate programs, you can enter the portal before you graduate and go to if you can, get picked up by a school that has graduate programs so you can use your red shirt year or your fifth or sixth, whatever it is, year of eligibility. Now, to enter the portal, we go over here. To enter the portal, a student athlete's or the student athlete has to notify their current school's compliance officer. Every school athletic department has a compliance officer. Thanks, Mike. They let them know, hey, this is my desire. I want to go in the transfer portal and I want to try my luck somewhere else. So that compliance officer has 2 days to enter that athlete's name in the portal. Once their name is there, then coaches from anywhere can contact that athlete if they're interested in recruiting them. Now, if you're a 5-star blue chip, athlete, you probably aren't going to have too tough of a time. But if you're not that, anything else, it's going to be tough unless you have the skills or the size of the body or whatever that, one particular school wants. And for those athletes, I would say, you're probably not going to get picked up by the Alabamas or the Georgias or the Oregons. You may get picked up by the Eastern Washington or the Central Michigan or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with those. I'm just saying that's how this works. So coaches from anywhere can contact that athlete if they're interested in recruiting. But what about the corruption? Well, we know it's there in several forms. Some we don't even know about yet. because the portal is so new. Recently, Washington State University head football coach was the victim of someone, and I think his name is Jake Dickert, if memory serves me right. He was the victim of someone pretending to be him on Twitter, trying to recruit football players. Obviously, whoever that was wasn't going to recruit them, but could that have caused a legal problem in the portal? Absolutely. Would it have definitely caused a legal problem for the Washington State University? I can see that happening all day long. That sort of ties into the lack of loyalty we said at the beginning. That being a scam, it's lightly talked about right now, involving position coaches moving from school to school because of athletes in the portal. Now, if you think about that, you've got position coaches and you've got players of position. The player, a wide receiver, thinks he doesn't get the ball enough, and he's a 5-star blue chip, and he wants to transfer out, and everybody's going to pick him up. Well, that position coach, they make their name on those players. That's how they move up the scale. Well, this is about the lack of loyalty we're seeing, that, and it's coaches using the corrupt side of the portal to enhance their own career. Now, the portal's still too young to succinctly point out all of the corruption that is there. And again, there's a lot we don't even know about because it's so new. And the public, as I understand it and have researched, my understanding is that the public cannot see the portal. There are many websites who say, in their attraction that, hey, this is Georgia's portal list, or this is University of South Carolina's guys in the portal. That is not the portal. So I would say use that with caution. It's only visible on college campuses with the compliance officers and head coaches. That's the way it's supposed to be. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. To put a bow on this, I do believe that the portal right now it's gray, but it's got tendency to turn black, a cloud over college sports. If for nothing else, it's a lack of loyalty. College football has some, if not the most loyal fans in the country. I would say college football and the way NASCAR used to be, both have the most loyal, diehard fans. Look at it here in South Carolina. You either bleed orange or you bleed garnet. And one week of the year, you don't talk to each other. All right? Carolina, Clemson. That's and if you're a Clemson fan, you are loyal to the Tigers. And if you're a garnet and black fan, you're go Cox 24/7. That's just the way it is. Just like somebody who wears back in the day a number 3, and they couldn't get enough of Dale Earnhardt. I mean, most people, whether it was Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Richard Petty, whatever, they would chew off a limb for those guys. Anyway, when players come and go as quick as they are now, and I bet it's going to get sped up with this portal, fans are going to lose some interest. There is some amount of interest that is going to be lost. And quite possibly, they're going to lose their loyalty to the favorite college team. And that's a shame. When you lose loyalty and you lose interest, listen to this, colleges. I'm talking to you. You're going to lose sales of hats, balls, T-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, stuff you hang on the wall, you name it. Anything you can put that tiger paw on, or put that gamecock on, or put whatever, that dog print or that big G. You're going to lose money. Maybe that's what it takes for the colleges to wise up. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to do it. We are at almost a quarter past 8 o'clock here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. I do want to say Thank you all, each and every one, for being on here with us. And for those of you who are tuning in on Big Patriot Radio, thank you as well. Don't forget, House of Cards and Big Patriot Radio would love for you to become a part of our Patreon family. You see it scrolling there on the bottom. A small contribution, $5 or $10 a month at patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards will go a long way for independent news, research, and media. Next week, it's going to be our Christmas show. You don't want to miss that. We're going to hopefully have a special guest on as we begin to take a look back before we take a look forward. Be sure not to miss that and a whole lot more. That is going to be right here next week on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Good night, America. Beaufort County's House of Cards is a production of Big Patriot Radio.